How's it going? My name's Mike Malyan. I'm the drummer for a band called Monuments and a progressive metal session drummer, as well as a producer of various kinds of music. I'm a content creator and a live streamer. I use Antelope products as the core of my studio because of their amazing capabilities, mainly in the effects department as well as their native loopback. I'm a huge fan of the plugins inside of my Antelope interfaces, and I'm so stoked that they're finally coming to the native world. And one thing I've wondered if I could ever do was to have a little bit more flexibility when I'm mixing after the fact, because I don't like to commit to things all the time in recording. A lot of the time I have clients who need something very specific, and while I like the sound of the excitement of the monitoring, I don't want to box them in their productions later. Now I can take the effects that I love from my drum mix and then I can reload them in afterwards with some recall. The whole experience is fantastic, and I'm so stoked about how they've brought that into the native world. I want to take a bit of time to show you what effects are my favorites, how they sound. This is all in the native world. I'll be using Cubase as my DAW and some drum recordings, some solo mics that I've been picking out from some performances just to show you how they respond and give you a bit of a hands-on with them. Let's take a look together. So let's start off with the Comp 4K strip. I'm going to start with this because I think cleaning up the dynamics of any drum performance is super important. If you're going to do any EQ boosts, you don't really want to boost the bleed, the hat bleed, or anything crashes, whatever. I absolutely love a few of the features that they've included in their general native workflow. For example, having scaling options of 100 and 200% is fantastic. The A/B section is fantastic. It works perfectly. You can totally switch between things there, but one of the things I'm absolutely in love with is that there is an undo redo functionality that is perfect. So I'll be demonstrating some of the moves I'm making with that. So you can hear quite a lot of hi-hats, even though I've used a crash guard on this M201, there's a fair bit there. So we're going to put the range to about 20 or so, keep the release super short so that you can hear what's happening, keep fast attack off for now just to hear what the transients sound like. If this was a specific move that we wanted to hear the difference in the mix between, say, that threshold and this threshold, super useful. Here's the compression sound. Really nice and aggressive treatment. It sounds fantastic to me. I love the fast release sound of this. This is a bit of metal performance on overheads. So here we have the 1023 EQ. First I'll roll off some of the low end bass drum bloom. Now I want to check out what the bass drum knock that still exists is without cutting all the way up to 300 to go a bit more subtle, because if I go all the way to 300, I think I'm going to lose a lot of the low end. Yeah, that's too much. So split the difference with the low shelf. We'll go to 220 and I'll do a bit of a boost. I quite like that as a cut, but I could compare the two in the mix or whatever. That's more subtle, I like that. There's a little bit of like 4K cymbal shine that's a little bit nasty, so we can compare cutting between about yay much and yay much, say. Way too much. So that stepped approach is really nice. Sounds great to me. Moving on to compression. So there, depending on how much transient you want and how transparent you want that to be, that's pretty cool. The automatic settings are great too. Really nice thrust to that on the release. So in conclusion, I feel like I'm going to use my effects a lot more this way, in a much more microscopic, analytical way, because when I'm doing my main playing, I'm the one person creating, recording, and performing all at the same time. I can't be quite as analytical as when I'm in mixing and analysis and a bit more of a third-person perspective on what these things sound like. I can't wait to see how this collection of amazing vintage and rare equipment collection kind of grows over time. I'm super stoked on it, Antelope, well done. And best of luck to all of you mixing with it. I can't wait to hear what you come up with.